All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Yep, we're in the car again. We're still on the go, but at least we have some daylight. We don't have the dark pitch blackness. It's about 7:30 a.m. as we record this, so at least this sun is up. But yeah, welcome to the channel, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I know these car videos aren't, the best and most optimal, but I'd rather do a video in the car or a video on the go than not do a video at all for the day. So hopefully you guys can at least appreciate that aspect of it. But we got a bunch of NBA games, I believe 10 to be exact, to jump into today. Like we do every single day, we're gonna go through each and every game. I'm gonna discuss the game, talk about it, give you what I'm leaning. But my final plays, what I'm gonna be rolling with, if you wanna ride, if you wanna fade, that's up to you. My final plays will be in the pinned comment. Last night we go 1-1. My Boston Celtics come through for us, but the Pelicans did not. The Jazz beat them last night there. But yeah, guys, we're gonna jump into each and every game. I will say we're cruising over on TikTok, guys. That is where we're giving out most of our player props. We're really invested into Prize Picks right now. I think it's an amazing platform. So make sure to go check out the TikTok. I'll put that in the description and the pinned comment as well if you want to know what player props we're liking tonight. Yeah, definitely go check that out. But let's jump into this, guys. We have the first game on the board is going to be the Orlando Magic taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Orlando 2.5 point dogs at home. Only 2.5 point dogs at home. So I went right to the injury report and I was like, all right, who is out for this Magic team? Looks like Bogdanovich is questionable. John Collins out. DeJounte Murray out. And Clint Capella is questionable. Same thing with Trae Young. So pretty much four of their starting five are questionable tonight. So this is going to be an obvious one. If those guys are a go, I think you try and snag this line whenever you can. In fact, if they're questionable or upgraded to probable, I don't hate taking the gamble on the Hawks -2.5 in hopes that these guys play. Because if all these guys get ruled in, DeJounte Murray we know is out and John Collins out, but I'm talking about, I guess, Bogdanovich, Trae Young, and Capella. If those guys are a go, it would be a great line to get. So I don't hate the idea of trying to pull the trigger on 2.5. I'm not going to do it personally, but I will say, if these guys are a go, you're obviously getting a really good value at that line. Because if even Trae Young alone gets ruled in, I bet this line jumps at least a little bit. For Orlando, the injuries here, Gary Harris, a no-go. Wendell Carter Jr. is still out. Okeke is out, and then Jalen Suggs out as well. Atlanta hasn't been playing well in the last 5 games, though. Lost 4 of the last 5. Orlando has won 3 in a row. So I think that there's some value here, again, with the Atlanta pulling the trigger if these guys are a go, because everyone knows, or at least if you watch every single day, we call the Atlanta Hawks the Atlanta Pigeons when they're on the road. They're on the road tonight. That being said, I don't think this Magic team is very good. I think a lot of you guys would agree with me. So I'm going to lean Atlanta -2.5 here with that caveat that guys play. Next up, we have the Hornets taking on the Pistons here. Hornets 3-point favorites at home. Total is 225. This Hornets team 7-20 straight up this season. If I were to tell you who has a better record, the Magic, the team we just talked about, or the Hornets, the team we're talking about now, if I were to ask you, you didn't know their records, who has a better team, who has a better record, right? I think 9 times out of 10 people are going to be like, oh, the Hornets, obviously. Wrong. The Magic have a better team than the Hornets this year. It's crazy. The Pistons, meanwhile, 7-22 straight up here, but they have a better against spread record than the Hornets. 13-13-3 against a 3-point spread here for the Charlotte Hornets at home. Detroit is 1-5 in the last 5 games straight up. And in their last 16 games against Charlotte, they're 4-12. 4-12 against the spread, in fact, in the last 16 against Charlotte. 1-15 if you're looking at just straight up here. Charlotte needs to break out of some sort of a slump here. They've lost 5 straight. Gordon Hayward obviously still out. Dennis Smith Jr. out. Cody Martin out. LaMelo out. Williams out. That said, Detroit obviously dealing with plenty of their injuries too. Cade Cunningham out for season here. I'm going to lean Charlotte -3. I doubt this becomes a final play, I'll be completely honest. But what I do not mind is the over 225.5. You're probably like, who the hell is going to score? And that's kind of where my head is at. It's like, well, yeah, who's going to score? But also, who's going to defend on either of these teams? So I'm looking at the over in this one. Charlotte, last 3 games, let up 131, 121, and 122. And then Detroit in the last 2 games here, 124 and 114. In their last 6 games, they've let up 3 games over 120 points. So I like the odds on the over there. Moving on, Golden State traveling to Indiana. Indiana getting 1.5 here at home. Total 2 35.5. Indiana 15-13 against the spread this year. The Warriors 13-15 against the spread this season. These two teams played just 10 days ago or so, and Indiana won 112-104. In terms of trends, Golden State's playing better basketball, 7-3 against the spread, but they're 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 against Indiana. Indiana, on the other hand, Golden State's starting to ramp up. Indiana was on that trajectory, right? They're starting to come back down. They're 2-6 in their last 8 games against the spread. The injury report is always going to be important for Golden State, especially with away games. Andrew Wiggins is out. Same thing with Andre Iguodala. But if Steph and Draymond and Clay are a go, I do think I pull the trigger on Golden State here, minus a 1.5. I think it's a very, very fair line. I think that they can do it. But yeah, just want to note the injuries, because this is a back-to-back for the Warriors, and though they're not on the injury report, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if those guys don't play the second night of a back-to-back. So before you go and lock this one in, or think, just try to think about it a little bit more, because history would tell us that even though Steph's not on the injury report, even though Clay, Draymond not on the injury report, odds are, or I wouldn't be surprised, I should say, that these guys don't end up playing tonight. And Vegas might know that too, with this spread only being a 1.5, right? All right, moving on. Chicago taking on the Knicks. Chicago 4-point favorites here at home. The Chicago team, I would say, is looking a little bit better because we've had money on it. We've watched a decent amount of these Chicago games as of late. They've won 2 games, or won 2 out of the last 3 games, covered 2 straight games here, and against decent teams, Dallas and Atlanta. Now, obviously, we just talked about Atlanta, injury-ridden, so on and so forth. But on the New York side of things, Jalen Brunson is questionable. If he's a no-go, that's going to be massive loss for the Knicks. So if Jalen Brunson is a go, I'll take the Knicks on the road +4. I think that they can wear the Chicago Bulls down. These two teams haven't played yet this season. The Knicks are 4-1 in their last 5 here against the spread. Chicago 2-4 against the spread, but those two are, they're starting to gain momentum their last 2 games. This is going to come down to Jalen Brunson. If Jalen Brunson, it looks like he's going to be playing, if he gets upgraded to Pro Bowl, I think I'm going to take the Knicks in the underdog spot here. The Knicks on the road this season, 8-5 against the spread. 3-0 in their last 3 against the spread on the road. So I don't hate that. I'm going to lean Knicks here +4. All right, we're halfway through, guys. I want to let you guys know that these videos are brought to you by MyBookie. I know it's been a couple minutes since we talked about a couple videos, I should say. But guys, check out the link in the description, guys. MyBookie. Use code GBS for a % match on your first deposit there, guys. The percent's always changing, always a different promo, but it's a super easy sports book to navigate. Make sure to check that out in the description, guys. If we weren't recording on the phone, in a car, in a parking garage, you can see a graphic right here. Picture a graphic right here, letting you guys know to click that link in the description. But we're moving on here. Raptors taking on the Kings. Kings 5.5-point dogs here. Kings lost bad to Philly last night, 123-103. Toronto's coming off of a bad loss to Orlando. And I should say this, 2 bad losses to Orlando. They lost 109-113. You're like, they hung in there, right? With the Magic. Hung in there with the Magic is something you never want to hear. But they hung in there. And then they lose 111-99. This Toronto team has to come out firing tonight. So I expect this to be a close game. And I expect Toronto to win. But 5.5 points? That's a lot to lay, so I think I'm going to lean the cover in Kings here. Toronto, OG Anunoby, a no-go tonight too. Big miss for them. I'm going to lean the Kings, even though they're on the back-to-back. I see no injury report stuff right now. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox has been questionable for the last few games or so. So if De'Aaron Fox is a no-go, kaput to this one. But Kings 5.5 points. They're probably pissed coming off of the Philly loss last night. Toronto, we know, is pissed. You have 2 teams pissed at each other. It's going to be a slugfest. Keep this game close. I'm going to take those 5 points, 5.5 points. I think that's definitely doable. All right, the Thunder rumbling, covering Thunder, only getting 3.5 points at home here as they host the Miami Heat. Total 227. These 2 teams yet to play this year. Miami 5-2 in their last 7 games against the spread against Oklahoma City, but they're 1-4 in their last 5 against the spread. And OKC, we know they're the rumbling, covering Thunder, right? 5-2 in their last 7 games against the spread. And like I always do, let me take a deep breath and go through the Miami injury report, because my reading is getting better the more I have to read this injury report. Jimmy Butler out. Victor Oladipo upgraded to probable. Dwayne Dedmon questionable. Duncan Robinson probable. Tyler Hero probable. Max Strus probable. Gabe Vincent out. And then Yurt Svedin out. Whatever that matters. But OKC here. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is out. And same with Kendrick Williams. But Miami, no Jimmy Butler. That is probably why this spread is where it is. I wish OKC was getting a few more points. This seems like, and especially at home, right? This seems like the type of game that I'm really going to be looking for them to, I guess, how do I say it? I guess put them in a teaser. If I want a couple more points, I'm going to look for another opportunity to put these guys in a teaser. I don't love either side of this straight up with, minus 3.5 or plus 3.5. But if I can get them the Thunder at plus 8.5 in a game, which I think that they could win outright, but, Miami's only going to be missing Jimmy Butler. They still have plenty of star power there. I think that I'm going to look to get this in a 5-point teaser. So get OKC at plus 8.5. I'm not sure what team will pair it with. Keep an eye on the pinned comment down below, guys. But OKC at home in their last 3 games here against the spread, 2-1. They're 2-1 straight up at home as well. 3-2 in their last 5 games against the spread against an Eastern Conference team. So keep that in mind, guys. I like OKC in this one, but 3.5 isn't, tickling my fancy. All right, Spurs taking on the Trailblazers. Spurs getting 6.5 points at home. Total 231.5. These two teams played in mid-November. Portland won by 7 points. They did not cover, though. It was an 8.5 point spread. In their last 10 games, San Antonio 3-7 against the spread, and Portland 6-4 against the spread, but 2-3 in their last 5 against the spread on the road. Keep that in mind, guys. Portland's 5-0 in their last 5 games, though, against the spread, and like I said, San Antonio's struggling. In fact, we extrapolate that out to 20 games. They're 4-16 straight up in their last 20 games here. Josh Hart is probable. Drew Eubanks upgraded to probable, and then Gary Payton is downgraded to out. For San Antonio, Jakob Poeltl still out. Josh Richardson questionable. Bates Diop questionable. Zach Collins downgraded to doubtful, and Romeo Langford downgraded to doubtful. Portland coming off 4 of their last 5 games being straight up wins and covering 5 straight. Like I said, I think I'm going to lean Portland here minus the 6.5 points. I just don't trust the San Antonio team. Keep in mind, last time I said I don't trust the San Antonio team. They were 12-point dogs against the Miami Heat. What was that, last weekend? And they won outright. So maybe I'm the kiss of death. Keep that in mind. If you're a genius, you'll fade me. No, I got that wrong. Rewind. If you're smart, you'll fade me. If you're a genius, you'll ride. Talk about bringing back sayings we had last year, huh? All right, moving on. Dallas Mavericks taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs 2-point underdogs here on the road. Total is 215. I don't hate the over in this one. I might be taking the bait. Oh my God, that's such a low number. Bite the over. I might be doing that, but I do think that these two teams can put up some points if they want. Cavs 15-11-2 against spread this season. Dallas 8-17-2. While they have a positive record straight up, 14-13, 8-17-2 against the spread is not really what you want to see. This is the first meeting between these two teams this season, and Dallas, at home here, 2-1-1 against the spread. On the road, Cleveland 1-4 in the last 5 against the spread. I don't really love what I'm seeing out of Cleveland. They're 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 meetings with Dallas here. Dallas, like I said, not playing great basketball against the spread-wise, but straight up, they're playing good basketball. And this is a very, very low spread. They just have to win this game by 2 points. So I'm starting to lean Dallas. I don't know how much I like it. It looks like Cleveland's starting to get a little bit more comfortable, but Maxi Kleber upgraded to questionable here, and Davis Bertans upgraded to probable for Dallas. I hate to say this because I do think that this Cavs team is very good. Coming off of a loss to San Antonio last game too. I have a feeling they come out firing. But this Dallas team, I just trust for whatever reason right now. So you can let me know if I'm a dummy in the comments. Wouldn't be the first time someone called me that. It definitely won't be the last. But I'm going to lean Dallas here -2. All right, Denver taking on Washington. Denver 9.5-point favorites against this Washington team. Denver 16-10 straight up this season, 11-15 against the spread. In terms of these two teams, they've not played this year. Trend-wise, Washington 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games. Denver has not covered in 5 straight games. They are hitting overs though when playing Washington. 4 of the last 5 times these two teams have met, the total has gone over. But here we go. We got quite an extensive injury report for Washington. Bradley Beal questionable. Kristaps Porzingis questionable. Monte Morris questionable. Rui Hachimura out. DeLon Wright out. Anthony Gill questionable. For Denver now, Michael Porter Jr. is out. He's been out for a while now. Washington playing really bad. 1-9 in the last 10 games straight up here. Denver won their last 2 games but did not cover. They didn't cover against Portland. They won like at the last second. And then against Utah, they only won by 5. They're 11.5-point favorites in that game. If Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis are playing, I think I'm going to take the points, even though Washington's on the road, even though Washington has stunk out loud, losing 9 of their last 10 games. That's a lot of points. And this Denver team has not struck me as a team that can go out there and just absolutely cover. At home in the last 5 games, 2-3 against the spread. So I'm going to lean Washington. I might be, again, a dummy here because I'm taking a team that has not looked good, but they've been injured. Maybe they get some of their guys back. Again, we got a bunch of questionables on the injury report, but if they get a couple of those guys back, I like Washington. All right, last game of the night. Clippers 6.5-point favorites hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. 23.5 is the total. Here, these two teams yet to play this season. Minnesota in their last 12 games, 4-8 against the spread, 3-6 straight up. So Minnesota's season was kind of like this, starting down, and then all of a sudden it was like a bloop, and they started to look real good. You know, for a couple weeks, I think they had the most, I've said this on videos before, like for 2 weeks, I think they had the most efficient lineup in the NBA, starting lineup. That's gone away. They're just not playing really well as of late here. They've lost 3 out of the last 5 games, and they haven't covered in 2 straight games against Portland. 2 games in which they were underdogs, which I honestly thought they could have won outright. The Clippers, on the other hand, have beat Washington and beat Boston. They covered in both of those games as well. I do think, as much as I just ragged on Minnesota, I do think that this is a pretty big number. It's going to come down to injuries, which it sucks that a lot of these have come down to injuries today in this video, but there's a lot of guys injured. D'Angelo Russell is questionable with a knee injury against the Clippers tonight. If he's a no-go, I'll lean Clippers. If he's playing, I'm going to take the points. I'll be the psycho. If we had the soundboard, I'd hit the psycho alarm, but I'll take the points in that one. But yeah, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. That is going to do it for today's video. Yeah, we'll be back hopefully with the video in the office with the camera and the mic next video. But yeah, guys, hope you guys do realize we're just trying to get these out, you know, and I want to bring the content to the YouTube channel instead of just being like, oh, like I'm away from home, I'm not going to do it at all. You know what I mean? So hope you guys appreciate that, but we'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.